start doing the same kind of bad things that you're doing because you have a sense of paranoia because you're always doing bad stuff. And then,
sorry to interrupt.
What's up?
It's an undercover car. Would you mind narrating just the part where I drove through, just so I don't get killed when they find out?
Tell him he's in a public commons and there's no perception of privacy. Is that another cop?
Cover's coming out here.
Okay.
Just be mindful of that and be safe, please.
Yep.
Would you mind picking it up? I'm an undercover.
Yep.
It's a live feed. What does he think?
I don't know.
I don't think they understand technology. My God.
So this is the thing, though. Like I was saying, whenever you do something wrong like that, you start thinking that everybody around you...
No one would have even paid attention to him. He wasn't on tape till he pulled up and got in our camera and announced himself as an undercover.
Yeah, he just pulled in and pulled out and left now. So all he did was drive in here to do that, to say that. But it's like...
Yeah,
you know,
to say we put an undercover on TV. That's exactly... So he could come get on camera and say we did that.
Yeah.
So they can all feel sorry for themselves.
All he did was pull in, pull back. There's a guy on the telephone. Like, there's people riding up on bicycles now staring at us in all black. It's starting to get pretty creepy. But like I was saying, though, whenever people start doing something wrong, eventually they think that people are going to find out. So what has our government been doing? Buying up the ammo, trying to make guns illegal. They start militarizing the police, and that's what's happening now because they know eventually Americans are going to wake up. Like, this story breaking is huge. People in America are starting to see that everything we've been talking about for years and years at INFOWARS is coming true.
That's right, and there's a huge creepy infrastructure right under the surface, and we're just peeling the scab off. Go ahead, Joe. Sorry.
Yeah, but they're starting to, that's why they're buying all this gear, because they know an awakening is going to happen. When they do, they want to be like, they're going to be, all right, we're going to have all this gear. We'll be prepared whenever finally everyone starts to wake up, and that's what they're scared about. That's why they're doing all this wrong stuff.
And don't forget, tomorrow, 3 p.m. Saturday, you can meet Joe Biggs and the rest of the Patriots who are going to be out there protesting this Homan Square facility. Now, as I said before, there may be some legitimate operations, people going in there, taking care of tickets and things of that nature. But on the top floor, we see the reports from lawyers, people who've been inside the facility saying, hey, there's some things going on in there that definitely should not. So be sure to be out there if you can. I don't know how long it's going to last. It's supposed to be very cold. It was 15 degrees today. I'm not sure what the temperature is going to be tomorrow. So try to be there right at 3 p.m. so you can get the full effect. Now stay tuned after this break for more special reports.
The knowledge of the ancients, tried and true, trusted herbs and extracts fused with the latest nutraceutical science. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend, crafted with over 14 key ancient herbs and extracts to supercharge and prepare your body for what experts admit is the most dangerous season of the year. We have rejected hundreds of other formulations in our quest to bring you what is simply the most powerful and comprehensive proprietary formula that we have ever created in the realm of herbal immunity. For the last 2 years, our team has been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to develop the ultimate nutraceutical formulation. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. For a limited time, get 25% off on this introductory offer. Visit ancientdefense.com or call 888-253-3139. ancientdefense.com.
Rob Dew reporting for INFOWARS Nightly News and PrisonPlanet.tv. This vaccine report looks at the propaganda that is used to try and scare people into getting vaccines. And I'm going to look at one person in particular. He's Time editor-at-large, Jeffrey Klugger. And he's the author of several books, numerous articles for Time magazine based on science and human behavior, whatnot. Here's a few of his articles that he's written. Let's take a look at this one. Meet the latest driver of the anti-vaccine clown car who thinks you're a bad mother. And it profiles a Dr. Jack Wolfson out of Arizona. And basically it came out and said, look, your kids should get these diseases when they're young, and they'll gain lifetime immunity, which is scientific fact that if you get these things, you will have lifetime immunity. And then the doctor also says things like, you shouldn't be inhaling carcinogens from detergents and stuff like that. Terrible advice to give, obviously, especially in the eyes of Mr. Klugger. And it's not just articles like these that Mr. Klugger has written. It's also a video series that he just produced for Time talking about the anti-vaccine movement, where he puts out health advice like this.
So for the billionth time, vaccines are safe, effective, and vitally important.
Well, if they said it for 1 billion times, then it must be true. And there's definitely not any money riding on that statement. But he also said statements like these.
If you join the Army and get a mandatory crew cut before basic training, you don't then conclude that military service causes baldness.
Funny how he mentioned the Army, because back in the early 2000s, the Army was pumping up our veterans and enlisted men with tons of vaccines, including the not really tested, not really safe, not really effective anthrax vaccine. But then in 2004, judge suspends military anthrax vaccinations. For a second time in a year, federal judge ordered the military to stop requiring the anthrax vaccinations for U.S. military personnel. In response, the Pentagon halted mandatory vaccinations until further notice, but noted the court did not question the safety or effectiveness of the vaccine. Attorney Mark Zed said the anthrax vaccination program was illegal and ill-conceived from day one.
Vaccines are safe, effective, and vitally important.
Mr. Kluger then goes on to attack Dr. Andrew Wakefield.
The narrator of a disgraceful web video spreading the rumors about the study is Andrew Wakefield, the British researcher whose fraudulent 1998 paper, falsely linking vaccines to autism, got the entire anti-vaccine mess started.
Even though, as we posted in earlier videos, that Andrew Wakefield's co-author was completely exonerated in the study, Andrew Wakefield is working on getting exonerated, and there have been many studies since then proving the link to vaccines and autism. Yet people getting advertising dollars from Big Pharma will always disagree with you, especially Mr. Kluger. Let's look at another article Mr. Kluger has written. How climate change leads to volcanoes. Really? He's serious about this, and on there is a picture of a SUV driving, and in the background a giant volcano out of Iceland is spewing forth its ash. And of course he's correlating the fact that SUVs are causing climate change and causing more volcanoes. Just go talk to the dinosaurs about all the SUVs they used to drive and all the volcanic activity that used to happen on our planet. And you'll see there's a direct correlation between SUVs and volcanoes. But this is where Mr. Kluger gets a little dangerous. Here's another article called Facebook Must Shut Down Anti-Vaxxers. And in this article, Mr. Kluger lays out a case for Mark Zuckerberg to actually shut down free speech for anyone that doesn't agree with the message that vaccines are safe and effective. That's right, if you don't like formaldehyde or aluminum or live vaccines, plus numerous other agents injected into your body, then you have to be stopped on Facebook. And he ends with this: Facebook is equal parts town square, medium of communication, and commercial bazaar, complete with ads, and it does all those jobs well. What the site shouldn't be is a vector for lies, especially lies that can harm children. Free speech is not in play here. This should be an easy call. And this is what you get with a lot of people on the far left. If you don't agree with their position, then you must be stopped, you must be censored. They're afraid of free and open debate. And our final piece of propaganda comes from CBS's Chicago local affiliate, where they had the article, Could Polio Make a Comeback in the U.S.? And it's complete with a video report put together by their anchor, and it's got doctors in there saying stuff like this.
We have a perfect storm for polio to make a reappearance in the American scene.
Someone could come from Pakistan, from Nigeria, from Afghanistan to the United States, be a carrier of the virus, and then pass it on to people who are not vaccinated.
Polio could happen this afternoon, or it could happen 10 years from now.
And the anchors follow up with more information on how the vaccine actually eradicated polio, even though all the charts and studies show that polio was well on its way down before the vaccine was even introduced. And so they show pictures of these rooms filled with children and young adults in these iron lungs and in braces. But as Dr. Blaylock points out in a seminar he did, this was due to this.
You know, this is what they use. Of course, this is where they collected cases from multiple states. They brought them to big centers. And so you had large numbers of these iron lungs operating, but this was people drawn from 10, 15 states to this one center. But it makes a nice picture to scare the daylights out of Mom. And of course, she's 25 years old, so she has no concept of the days of the polio outbreak.
But that's okay, because the polio vaccine's obviously safe and effective, right? even though it admits in the insert that it's never been tested to see if it causes cancer, mutations, or impairment of fertility. And you can read it right there in the insert. But what's interesting about the polio vaccine was that up until the 60s, it contained the SV40 virus. And this is a virus that has been proven to cause cancer in humans, and it was taken from the kidney cells of monkeys. So up to a third of the polio vaccines up until 1961 could have contained the SV40 virus, which then gave you cancer.
Vaccines are good. Governments that have been caught doing secret experiments by killing people in mass are trustworthy.
So stay vigilant. The only way to combat this propaganda is to expose it at the source. This has been Rob Dew for INFOWARS.com and INFOWARS Nightly News. If you are watching this on YouTube, please consider becoming a member of PrisonPlanet.tv. It's your subscription to PPTV that keeps us going and keeps the InfoWar funded. Thank you once again for your support.
Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems and enhance overall health. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation, a highly advanced nutraceutical form of this key herb that has been traditionally used by civilizations for thousands of years to promote health. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market, sourced from top leading manufacturers to ensure a concentrated level of bioactive ingredients. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules, you will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Wild crafted from the Mediterranean oregano species that experts agree is one of the most powerful and most challenging to acquire. This winter season, it's more important than ever to secure this true form of oil of oregano. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
And welcome back. Earlier this week, we brought you reports about how the ATF is planning gun regulations and also how Obama wants to use executive action to take your firearms away. And if you haven't seen those, you can find those reports on InfoWars.com. But those aren't the only guilty parties. We see the state of California. We'll talk about Dianne Feinstein, Barbara Boxer, and now they have a supposed partner in crime, a federal judge. California handgun roster is constitutional. And these are the words of U.S. District Judge Kimberly J. Mueller. She found this week that a handgun roster whose micro-stamping requirements fundamentally stop new semi-automatic handguns from being added does not violate the Constitution. And these are firearms that are commonly sold in other parts of the country, but they say they don't want you to have these in the state of California. Now, let's move on to Feinstein and her good pal, Barbara Boxer. We see this Capitol Hill gun control stalwarts want to disarm those on a watch list. And it says Senators Feinstein and Boxer are backing a measure to prevent those on government watch lists from buying guns and explosives. And they say, among other terrorist lists, they also want to include the no-fly list. And before you start clicking your keys on your YouTube comment that you think is witty, you're asking yourself, do you want terrorists to have guns? No, I'm not saying I want terrorists to have guns. I think we should stop giving terrorists guns in places like Iraq and Syria, but that's another story. But talking about this particularly, when we talk about the no-fly list, these aren't always dirty, wicked, international men of mass murder. Sometimes these are just the innocent people who get caught up by having the same name. Case in point, meet Mikey, age 8. U.S. has him on a watch list. Now, it's not Mikey himself who is a part of the watch list. He just shares the name of some supposed elusive international terrorist. Once again, you don't really know how you get on the no-fly list. You don't know how to get off of it. But you can see the boy right there. He poses no threat to me. He's a Cub Scout. Maybe he can rub some sticks together and cause a fire, but that's about it. So this is what's going on when you talk about the no-fly list and these other ambiguous lists, that there's also innocent people on these lists. So we'll continue to move through this. We also see an 18-month-old baby yanked from a plane for being on the no-fly list. And you can see the elusive international terrorist right there on your screen. Of course, I'm being sarcastic with that. This child poses no threat, but because the child shared a name with a supposed terrorist, or at least somebody on the no-fly list, which I will reiterate again, does not make you a terrorist. It just means you somehow dinged in their system for some reason. Nobody can actually explain to you why you're on the list or how to get off of it. And we'll end our segment with this. Confusion over boy's name trips up family's journey home for the holidays. And he says, I don't want to be on the list. I want to go see my grandma, the 4-year-old boy said, according to his mother. So this is for everybody who is a fan of the no-fly, no-buy list that they were talking about years ago. They said if you can't fly a plane or fly on a plane, you should not be able